Monday, August 12th, 2024. I now call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
District 1, Councilmember Casey.
Present.
District 2, Councilmember Vieira.
Present.
District 4, Councilmember Martinez.
Present.
District 3, Vice Mayor Silvera.
Here.
Mayor Lopez.
Here. Today invitation will be by Patrick Davis. He's with us on Zoom. Are you here, sir? He is not with us today. There's a hand is up. There's a date. Okay, I see. And this will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So everybody, please stand up.
You hear me now?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, would you like me to pray for us? We pray, God Almighty, we invite your presence to be with all of the members of the City Council and with everybody who is in attendance in person and online. We ask, God, that you would provide guidance as meaningful decisions are made concerning our community. And Father, would you grant energy, wisdom, and peace this evening? In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, liberty and justice. Citizens communication. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in City Council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes, Resolution 2007-106, for expression of non-agenda items. Matters under the jurisdiction of the City Council and not on the posted agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the City Council from taking any actions on any matters which is not posted on the agenda, unless it is determined by this emergency by the City Council. Citizens are entitled to address the City Council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. Anyone wishing to address the City Council must adhere to the rules of decorum. The rules of decorum are posted outside the chamber's doors. We'll begin with the 2 yellow cards that are here in front of me, and then I'll ask members of the public to step up. I have Tony here.
Mayor, may I interrupt?
Yes.
There's an error on your mayor's notes. We actually have 2 presentations tonight.
There's 2 presentations, really.
Yeah.
There is nothing, yeah, there's nothing on my,
That's an
okay.
error on our end.
May I have a copy of that? That would have been nice to have. It's not on the online version either. It is. Let me see. Yeah, it's not on the online version either. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. May I have a copy of it? So disregard, so it's a no. Okay. Moving on. So we'll go back to our yellow cards here. So yes, Tony. Sir, you're up. Yes, I could not see what the rest of the last name was, but I recognize you. How you doing, sir?
Hello, I'm here today to try and get some perspective on why we cannot fish at the pond down there, the park down there. I've been fishing that pond since 2006, taking my grandkids down there, taking friends, seniors. Now all of a sudden we can't fish there. So I was talking to Sam, and I guess there's some concern about that there might be fishermen could hook the liner in the pond, but I can't understand that. That pond's been there for 25 years. So,
Oh, thank you for your concerns. We'll have Sam reach out to you again.
okay.
And I did receive all the information and pictures. I'll make sure that he gets it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Next yellow card that I have is Lou. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lou Tausti, and I represent CYSO, the president of the league, which this league has been since 1982. And we've been very successful with this league. We have grown every year, and we run the best we can with all the rest of the staff that runs the league. Was approached to me about a week and a half, 2 weeks, about raising the fees, the city, on a child, each one to play down at the Ceres Complex, River Bluff. We've been paying $7 to the city for each kid that plays in there. Plus, we pay for the fields, to play, for practice. And I was approached to raise the fees to $50 per kid. After being here 42 years, running this league, and see something like that, $50. And on top of that, we closed our registrations back in the street fair in May. And now they come and asking for $50. It's impossible for our league to run the way we run. We get a tremendous city with soccer players, youth. They travel all the way to Las Vegas and in different states, done real well. And now we don't want these kids from stopping soccer. So I'm asking as a president of CYSO, please look at this and next contract next year, which we have every year, and discuss about the fees. But the $50, it becomes very, very high for us. You're talking 1,000 kids, $50,000. And we have to, all the expenses we have with everything, uniforms, referees, everything. The sport has been tremendous helping this youth league we got. Take their times from after work, come out and spend hours and hours, get these kids out there playing soccer for 10 weeks. So I'm asking please to everyone to look at this and discuss this matter for next year. Anybody have any questions?
From it sounds like it doesn't seem like the city council was aware of this, so nothing will be set in stone. So we'll make sure that we have staff sit down and talk with you in regards to this matter.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else in the council that would like to speak?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members. Brenda Herbert from the Office of Congressman John DeWardy. Also very proud Ceres residents all my life. And I am just here to give a reminder, let those that don't know that tomorrow night, right here in these very chambers at 7 o'clock, Congressman DeWardy will be doing a town hall meeting. He will be available to discuss federally whatever anybody would like to discuss with him, water, veteran, ag, immigration, whatever you all want to discuss. And then I also wanted to just I know we have a lot of veterans here, that on Wednesday, August 14th at 9:30, from 9:30 to noon in Madera, at the Madera VF Hall, he will be doing a Veterans Town Hall meeting. So I thank you all for everything you do for the city, police, fire, all the other city employees, and that's it. If anybody has any questions in regards to the congressman, I'm happy to press.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it. Next person. Welcome.
What does the city council consider personal development?
Do you have some questions in regards to, are you going to have several questions, or that's
That's the question.
the question? I'll make sure that staff reaches out to you in regards to that.
Well, I'd like to know now what you think it is. Because apparently you're going to give your group $6,600 for it.
For what?
for personal development.
For personal development, are you referring to an item on the budget that was passed already recently?
I'm referring to your budget for you
I
guys.
believe that if we're talking about that, there is an item on the council today. There's a referral question from Councilmember Casey that will probably be brought up.
When
So
you decide what personal development is, let me know.
thank you very much. Appreciate it. Is there anybody else?
Good evening, City Council members. John Warren, City of Sirius. I would like to remind the city and council on September 11th, Wednesday, September 11th, 9/11, referred to as Patriots Day now, but we're all aware of the tragedy that happened on that day back in just after I retired. There will be a ceremony at Whitmore Park at the corner where the Veterans Memorial Monument stands. The starting time is 8:30. If possible, maybe we could get it posted on the city's website because it does concern the community and is a very important event that we should remember what happened on that day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Warren.
John, what time was that, John? I'm sorry. Thank you.
City clerk, you write that down. Are you guys are you guys going to send any information to the city clerk? That'd be great. Yeah, thank you. Okay, anybody else?
Hello, my name is Ruben Alvarez, treasurer for the soccer league. Just to bring that across, it's unconscionable for you guys to raise our prices without any notice. Literally, when the contract was given to us, it was given to us 2 days before the contract expired. It's not reasonable for us to be able to do something like that. If it was given to us maybe in November before we started registrations, it's a lot easier for us to be able to approach as a league. Right now, we're looking for you guys just with $50,000 bill, and it's just unconscionable for us to be able to.
Yeah, I think at this moment, that was not made aware to the city council, so no decision is final. So that's why we'll have city staff reach out to you guys again.
Okay.
Thank you. Next person.
Uniquely serious. When this building was first opened, I think the California laws probably intact as far as what's supposed to be constructed for people that are handicapped through ADA. Most of the doors here in the community center are ADA adapted, with the exception of one door. And that's the door, the senior lounge back there. And I've been told for probably a year now that they were going to take care of it. And then, of course, it was, we don't have the money. And then you see other things going on. And I know how the system works, is budget here and budget there, and this is allocated for this and that. That's one door. But there's a lot of people that don't have the strength to turn a knob or push down on a button and force that door open. And that door there was emergency one day. And I tried getting out. I pushed and pushed it. It hadn't been open probably for a couple of years. And of course, the seal around there was pretty strong. And finally, one of the girls in Parks and Recreation opened it after she herself toward it. But it needs one of those parts there just for the safety part. I mean, every door, these doors here, doors going outside, the patio, all the doors have a wire across them. So people can get out very easily without struggling, or, you know, somebody might be in a wheelchair. We've had people in wheelchairs back there and they don't have a lot of muscle control or power. And why that's been left by itself for so long, I don't know. I think this should be something that's just on one top of the list of things to accomplish. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to make a comment or question?
My
Welcome.
name's Randy Cerny, resident of the city of Ceres. Graduated from this high school over 50 years ago. I've called Ceres my home pridefully all that time until now. It's the most dysfunctional city council I've ever seen. All I need to say because there's children.
Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment? Is there anybody with their hands raised?
There are
On
no
Zoom?
hands raised on Zoom.
Okay. Have you received any emails?
No, we have not.
Okay, the public period is now closed. Moving on to the appointments to boards and commissions. First one that we have today is council designation of a voting delegate and alternate delegate to represent the city of Ceres at the League of California Cities 2024 Annual Conference. Who will this be taken care of? Is that you, Nubia, or is that you? City clerk? I didn't see your name on here, so my apologies. Oh, actually, you know what? Right there in red. Yes. City clerk will take care of this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. This item is brought to you, brought before Council to designate a primary voting delegate and up to 2 alternate voting delegates for the upcoming League of California Cities Annual Conference, which will be held October 16th through 18th in Long Beach. This is an important part of the conference where the General Assembly meets on Friday, October 18th. And it's made up of various delegates from respective cities where they vote on a number of different resolutions. So at this time, I ask that council appoint the voting delegate and up to 2 alternate voting delegates. And in the past, this has been done via council consensus.
Who is all going?
We have Mayor Lopez that's attending, Councilmember Vieira, and Councilmember Martinez.
I'll make a recommendation that the mayor be the voter with Councilman Vieira and Martinez, in case he can't do it in person.
I'll second.
I don't think Case is gonna be there. Or
So
you
I
said-
just said recommendation, not a motion. I don't think it has to carry a motion. That's my recommendation, to have mayor do it. and if he
Or-
can't, one of these.
Just to double check, is everyone who is going to attend will be there every single day?
Yes, I plan on being there every single day.
There might be a slight possibility that I might come back early due to football. So can we at least have me as maybe a second alternate? If everybody feels comfortable with that, somebody
Man,
else.
I thought I was taking care of it the right way too. Thanks. Okay, so I would recommend that Rosalinda Vieira be the delegate to vote, with Mr. Martinez, number 2, and Mr. Lopez, number 3.
Thank you, Brett. Everybody okay with that? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on to the next item. Interview process for appointments to the Planning Commission. Community Development Director Leah will present this item.
Thank you, Mayor. The Planning Commission will have 2 vacancies coming up as of December 31st, 2024. So we would like to hold the recruitment for those 2 vacancies. We plan to close the application process on September 30th. In order to interview the individuals, we ask that the City Council select 2 members of the council to form a subcommittee to conduct interviews. I will be available to help you. We plan on holding interviews on October 14th, 2024, but that date will change. Availability and applicants. And then ideally, everyone will be selected and seated to start serving the Planning Commission. So at this point, we would ask that you pick a subcommittee on the interview panel for those.
What's the date again for interviews?
The interview is tentatively scheduled for October 14th.
It would be in the morning or before meeting? Depends on the applicants.
Depends on the number of applicants and
Yeah.
the
So the date's up in the air, so we'll decide today who. I would like to recommend myself and somebody else. You'd like to do it as well? Okay. Recommend myself and Vice Mayor Brett Silvera. Is everybody okay with that? We don't need a motion, right? We just need to,
I think consensus is
we
perfectly
just need
fine.
consensus.
Go ahead, Jim. You were going to say something.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, in the municipal code, it defines the planning commission, the number of people. But it mentions, and I brought this up before, it mentions a student. And, you know, since I've been on the council, we haven't had one. And I wonder either we need to consider that or we need to remove it from the municipal code. For me? Yeah, it's, yeah, you know, I came here not knowing anything and I don't know much different now than I did when I started. But I have found out that we do have rules and regulations and I'm trying to follow them best I can. But it defines it as five planning commission people and they get paid a certain amount of money and the student doesn't get paid anything. I'm just wondering if that's something that we need to either remove or continue with. And particularly, I was thinking in my District 1, there's only one high school that's the Seventh-day Adventist Academy. And if we were going to continue the process, I would approach them and see if they had somebody to be interested.
Thank you, Mr. Casey. It doesn't look like it's in the agenda packet at the moment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mayor, just
Well,
for,
so can we first take care of this and then discuss that? So Mr. Casey, we'll go back to your question, but we're looking for consensus first. We're looking for consensus first, before we go on to your question, sir. So we're looking like a yes on this side. You're okay, President? Yeah, okay. And then go ahead and you said you're gonna answer the question. So that's consensus from all of us.
it was just a clarification that the code does provide for a non-voting student commission. And I think historically that's just been depending on interest, but we can explore that at a staff level at another time.
Yeah, like kind of like an intern, yeah. All right, sounds good. We'll get back to that. Do it, ask the question during referrals, Mr. Casey, that'd be great. Okay, so we are now moving on. Is there any conflict of interest from the council?
Are we talking about consent items?
Yes, we are.
Not a financial conflict, but it does involve my place of employment. So I did want to from that. And that has to do with the MJC.
Do you know what item that is?
Item 16.
Okay, so so what we'll have to do is, what is the next steps? She's just gonna abstain from that one item, but
She doesn't have a financial conflict of interest. She's abstaining from the vote. So we'll pull that one separately
separately.
and vote
okay.
on everything else. I
Sounds
do have two other things,
So we'll pull that one separately,
but that's not that one's different than the conflict.
sure. So, okay, now, is there any items that the council would like to pull?
So glad you asked. So, item 9 and item
9 and 13. So, thank you very much. And then
Number 3.
number 3, sir, okay. Council members on my left side? None? We'll go to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to pull an item off the consent calendar? And then looking online, any hands been raised?
There are no hands raised.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve items 1 through 2, 4 through 8, 10 through 12, 14 and 15 of the consent calendar.
I'll second.
No, I make a motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Okay, and we have Councilmember Martinez with a first and Councilmember Vieira with a second. Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Item number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, morning every day, trying to learn. And we have listed the payment to the fire department. I'm not looking at it correct. I mean, it's like 695,000. So are these warrants the only ones that come out of the general fund? That number is not the correct number that we paid for the month. So I'm just wondering if the warrants that are posted, they're the ones that come out of the general fund, and any special fund money isn't listed in those warrants.
Councilmember Casey, everything listed here was paid with the city regardless of general fund or special funding.
Okay, so the 690,000, that's what we paid, even though the contract calls for something different than that?
That is what we were invoiced by the city of Modesto for the month of July.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
I'll bring this. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to make a comment or question on item number 3? Any hands raised?
No hands raised.
I'll bring this back to the council for any comments or questions or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item number 3.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item number 9.
Number 9, looks like there might be some additional monies outside of what was originally budgeted. So I was just kind of wondering where that additional money was going to be coming from on number 9.
She was asking where, no, she was asking where the money's coming from, is what she's asking.
Councilmember Vieira, the 5% longevity pay was not budgeted as part of our fiscal year 24-25 budget. That's correct.
And where is that money going to be coming from? Is that coming from our general fund, or how are we making up that 5%? Where is that money coming from?
That is why we're asking for a budget amendment.
Is that part of the motion? Or did I miss that?
Section 3 has the estimated cost for the cities approximately 791 and will require a budget amendment of 143,206 with 77 cents.
Councilmember Silvera, the budget amendment indicates how much and from which org it will come out of. It's attachment D.
Go ahead, sir.
So we need to amend our motion so that it would actually read, staff recommends the city council ratify the memorandum of understanding with Laborers International Union of North America, Leona, to be effective August 12th, 2024. And also to approve a budget amendment that's attached in attachment D in the amount of 143,206.77 from the reserves. And authorize the city manager to execute that move.
That, that information is already included in the resolution itself. There is a specific reference to the budget. This is just more for clarity for the actual approval that you're taking tonight. But it is included as part.
Give the council 1 second as they're reviewing it. Does everybody have any questions?
No, just an FYI, the agenda that I'm looking at that was sent to us does not have that budget amendment on it under fiscal impact.
So my physical binder does, but his online link that he downloaded does not.
Do we have an amended motion or a motion on the floor?
That was recommended, but I just want to give you guys an opportunity. Nobody's made the motion yet. Just want to make sure that everybody has their answers clarified before we move on. Rosalina, we're just waiting for you, if you don't mind. Is there any additional comments or questions?
I'm just still trying to figure out, since I don't recall seeing where the money, $143,000 to, or 143,206.77 is coming from. Is that our general fund? Is it coming from ARPA funds? So it's coming from our reserve. So that's kind of, I guess, what I was looking for. Where is the money coming from? Because you have to have a money tree.
And then Doug made a recommendation for there to be a motion, but you reworded it, right? Could you repeat that back to Brett? Because he needs to make the motion.
So the motion will be ratifying the memorandum of understanding between the City of Ceres and Laborers in an International Union of North America, LIUNA, approving a budget amendment and authorizing the city manager to execute the memorandum of understanding. The budget amendment is attachment D, and the resolution does have it stated in there for the City of Ceres Finance Director to be authorized and directed to record the appropriate accounting entries.
Councilmember Vieira. Activity does have those orgs where the funds will be coming. Not everything is from general fund.
But I think he said it was coming from reserves, not the, it's a different kind of, I just want to kind of see how our general fund, our reserves are taken down. Because that's a question we get asked a lot from the public is where's our money going? Why is our reserves so low? And I want to make sure the public, at least the few that are here and the ones that are watching, it looks like there's 14 online, are aware that this is where our reserves are going. And this is why the reserves are going down. And we're not just arbitrarily approving the reserves for something that's not reasonable.
I will take it now to the public before we make our motion. Is there any members of the public that would like to make a comment and or question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. I don't know if you remember some time ago when the 8% pay raise was approved for the other bargaining units. I asked a question of what the total cost would be to the city. And that includes the benefits, what the city has to pay, FDIC, the whole ball of wax. What is the figure that this 8% raise is going to cost the city this year, next year, the year after, and 5 years from now? The cost is going to be there, okay? The next budget year is going to come up and the city's going to have to find the money to pay those wages that you're authorizing with this 8% raise. I'm not saying that the employees don't deserve a raise. I'm asking where the city's going to get the money to pay that raise. We're $2 million in the hole now using ARPA money to plug that hole. Next year, there won't be any ARPA money to plug that hole. The year after, there won't be any. It's my understanding that there are 10 positions that the city is not going to fill, 10 employees. And the salary savings from those people are what is going to be used to pay this raise. And what that tells me is the city's gonna have to do without those 10 employees forever until something happens that improves the economy and the city can come up with the additional funds to pay the people what we're going to grant them in their raise. I have yet to hear from whoever has these figures, and you should all have the figure. You should know how much money this is that you're authorizing, what the bill is going to be, and you should be able to tell the public that. That's what I'm asking. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Is there anybody else? Anybody on Zoom? Okay, I'll bring this back to council. Are you ready for that motion?
Because I don't want to hold up our city staff from getting their much needed additional benefits. I'll make a motion to approve number 9 with the budget amendment included.
Second.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Casey,
Yes.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Silvera.
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item number 13.
Okay, I pulled that one for a variety of reasons. From my reading, if I read it correctly, it looks like we were, maybe you need to correct me, we're buying a new one. Sweeper, item 13.
Yes, we are.
Oh, I meant 13.
I had 13. Were you trying to pull 15?
No, I wanted 13, the sweeper.
I have it written down as 13.
Okay. I guess my only concern is under the state requirements with the ZEV, the zero emissions requirements by law. I just want to make sure we're still set to meet those state requirements. Because again, I don't necessarily want to invest something that's going to be technically illegal in 3 years. So I guess that's my concern is the ZEV requirements.
Yeah, Council Vieira, we looked into the electric street sweeper, but the cost of it was double what I'm presenting tonight. We tested the vehicle, it ran fine, we were happy with it. However, the cost was $635,000. So that's why we decided to go with the conventional type. And this should last us for another 10 to 12 years.
And there's no grants or anything that we could utilize, because my understanding is we're supposed to be at almost a 50 or 100% DEV by 2027. And if we're not even purchasing our first one, I don't understand how we're going to meet our state requirement.
No, I think we need to be 100% compliance by 2035. We are in the process of purchasing multiple vehicles. I have one myself that I drive, and also we encountered another van that we have on board, and we're looking into 2 additional electric vehicles. So we committed to a milestone with the state, and now we have to be in compliance. So in 2027, we need to be at certain percentage, and I think that would be about 10% of our fleet. And moving forward until 2035 would be, we need to be at 100%.
And correct me if I'm wrong, some vehicles aren't included in that, emergency vehicles. I believe some school vehicles and different city municipal vehicles aren't actually included in the initial amount that towards that percentage. So I feel perfectly fine with purchasing this street sweeper at half the cost of an EV.
I think my biggest concern is the fact that street sweepers are not exempt. There are certain exemptions, you're correct. That isn't one of them that is exempt that I could find in the law. And I don't know if it's going to be exempt and we're going to replace it by 2035, that's great. But if we're going to have to invest the same amount of money in a few years to meet our state requirements, I don't know why we wouldn't be making the steps as opposed to spending that half of that full amount again in a few years to meet our state obligations.
Well, I mean, currently we have two sweepers. We just got rid of one that we surplused. But our budget doesn't allow us to go ahead and invest in the electric vehicle due to the battery charges. The the battery lasts about less than 8 hours, and we have a 10-hour shifts. So therefore, we decided not to go that route. And also plus the cost of it was, we just didn't have the money in the budget to go ahead and purchase that.
Thank you. And was this budgeted in the current budget that was recently approved, or is this another budget amendment that we have to make?
No, it was budgeted.
Thank you.
Any questions from the members of the public? Anybody on Zoom?
No hands raised on Zoom.
I bring this item back to the council for a motion.
Make a motion to approve item number 13.
Second.
Get a roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Aye.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Silvera.
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item number 16. Oh, yes, that's great. You are excluding yourself, correct? That's, we'll have somebody come get you in a second. Thank you. You're just not gonna
So
vote
again, Councilmember Vieira is recusing herself
from the,
from the vote, but it is not a financial conflict of interest, so she doesn't have to follow the recusal procedures for a
because of that
financial conflict of interest. She just is electing not to vote on it.
thank you, Nubia, for the clarification. We are looking for, well, since we pulled it, let's go to the public. Any members of the public would like to make a comment on this item? Bring this item, anybody on Zoom?
No hands raised on Zoom.
Bring this item back.
I'll make a motion to approve item 16 of the consent calendar.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Yes.
Councilmember Vieira recused, Councilmember Martinez,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 4 with 1 recusal.
Thank you very much. Moving on to unfinished business, item number 17. Waiver of the second reading and adoption of the ordinance. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ceres amending Title 5, Chapter 18, Garage Sales of the City of Ceres Municipal Code to increase the number of garage sales events to 3 per year and to limit the number of sale days to 3 per garage sale event and add a community garage sale day. Leah, this one's yours.
Thank you, Mayor. At the July 22nd, 2024 meeting, the council accepted staff's recommendation related to the individual garage sales. And at council direction, we added a section for the community garage sales. So you'll notice in the updated ordinance, there's a new section 5.18.100, which identifies the city manager that can declare 1 day a year as a community garage sale day. And individuals do not have to obtain a permit for the garage sale or pay a fee. This will not count toward their total 3 garage sales per year. That's the change, only changed the ordinance since we.
Okay. The public period comment is now open. Is there anyone in the chamber that would like to make a comment on this item?
Junior series. There's been this big discussion on this for really a couple of years besides recently. I assume, and that's why everybody comes here, because we're under a lot of assumptions, that before this gets anywhere for these particular days, what you're allowed during the year, the special day and other 3 days, whatever that is. There's going to be something in place to control this, hopefully, and let it flow in a nice, easy fashion to where we don't have a lot of problems with this. I can see it getting really out of hand. I understand people want to make something off to all that stuff we store in our, what we call garages, and make some side money, to help us out along the way. But living here for as long as I have, and some people have lived here a hell of a lot longer than I have, but they're gonna find a way, that small little percentage of people, to wreck it for everybody else, to make it not pleasant. So I hope we can put something together before it's enacted and maybe practice somehow between people that's gonna take care of this issue, so figure everything out before we indulge in having these things happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Anyone on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. The public comment period is now closed. I'll bring this item back for council for discussion, comments, and questions. I do see Councilmember Rosalinda. You have no more questions? Okay. Okay, sounds good.
I'll
Bring this item back.
make a motion to approve item number 17 of the consent calendar.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Casey,
Yes.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Item number 18, approving the fiscal year 2024-25 amended engineers report and ordering the levy of assessments for the 1987 landscape and lighting district for fiscal year 2024-2025. Beltran?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. So this is a public hearing for the fiscal year 24-25 amended engineers report for the landscape and lighting districts for our fiscal year 24-25. NBS, our consultant, has provided a report that essentially increases all of our district fees by the inflation rate. That is the only way that they can actually be increased, unless obviously the voters vote to increase their rates. I think it should be noted that even with the increase, this generally does not cover all of the costs of our landscape and lighting that we have within these districts. But this is all that we can do as far as raising rates, is by filing this report to the Stanislaus County Assessor's Office. With that, I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Okay. The public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the chambers that'd like to make a comment on this item?
Being equally serious. Could you elaborate on that a little bit more, so maybe somebody that's listening, they can, someone else? I guess these increase in fees, when they happen and when they do, that everybody's going to be paying the same, or is it going to be like when they have a certain complex or homes in a certain area, they pay into city and county and all these other fees? Theirs is a lot higher than somebody that's lived in a different area that's older. I'm kind of wondering if it's going to be across the board when they do this, whenever it happens, or it's going to be like where you live and what the fees are going to be allocated for.
Thank you for your question. If I understood you correctly, so the fees, when they were implemented, they go by certain districts. So a certain amount of homes that are in a certain area that's being what we call annexed into the landscape and lighting district. And so depending on the amount of landscape you have, the amount of streetlights, for instance, that you have, all of those types of things, they actually go in, they calculate the rate, and then they divide it over the homes or complexes within that actual district area. And then they are raised generally by the inflation rate, which would be the same. But everybody in each district pays a little bit different depending on how much landscape and lighting they have.
And that would be somehow passed on through the contractor to build to a certain area in town. The rates would be established at that time after the housing area, or whatever it is, business area, or whatever it's built. Where it's built, then the price would be calculated on what you were just saying.
So actually it's done beforehand. So when we get improvement plans, we are able to see how many lights, how much square footage in landscape that we have. And then those rates are calculated so that way everybody knows going in what the rate per unit or per house or whatever happens to be in that district.
Yeah, that can cause problems with people wanting to buy houses, believe it or not. Thank you.
Warren?
John Warren Series, what's the average cost that each lighting district city has? And I know I went through, there's quite a few, going back to about 1988 when they were formed. When each subdivision gets formed, there's a district and they pay a certain rate. In dollars and figures, what's going to be the average cost that each homeowner is looking at in their district? What's the increase going to be?
I don't know the exact average cost. Now, generally speaking, in today's terms, we actually annex into community facilities districts instead of landscape and lighting districts. But I don't have an exact cost for that increase, even on average. The report actually goes through every APN that is assessed, and you can actually see within the report, and I didn't print it all out. It's about 200 pages long of APNs and what their actual assessment is that gets reported to the assessor's office.
I understand, but it's kind of ridiculous to ask a council to increase somebody's costs. And you can't tell them what the cost increase is gonna be. I mean, there's gotta be an average figure. Is it gonna be $15 per household or $10? I know each one will be different. Some will be 30 or 40, depending on the district that you're in. But when you're asking for approval of a raise or increase, I'm out here in the public. I don't think my property is involved in any of this because it was there in the early 80s. But I think there's a lot of other people in the community who would like to know, hey, how much is it gonna go up? Because they're not gonna know until they get their bill. When they get the property tax bill, they can look and see what the district increase is. I think it's really fair that you're asking for an increase, that you should be able to tell the public the approximate cost. Thank you.
Any additional comments or questions from the public? No hands raised on Zoom. I saw that. Appreciate that. Okay, the public hearing is now closed. I bring this item back for council for comments, questions, or discussions. I do see Councilmember Casey has pressed his button. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So there are different districts. Do you commingle the money, or is the money for District A stay in District A for its maintenance?
So council member, so no, we don't commingle funds. When you look at what the approximated costs are within each district, those costs stay, or those revenues, I should say, stay with each district.
Sure, and the fees that we're voting on, that's the revenue to take care of the common property, the sidewalk, this house in the Eastgate area, or where my son lives out of Tuolumne, North Series there on River Road, and I think it's called Tuolumne Bend Road or whatever. That district's money is used to maintain those sidewalks and tree maintenance and stuff.
Yes, so this money though is only for landscape and lighting, so it does not maintain sidewalks within those.
Well, I didn't mean the sidewalk. I meant the ground between the sidewalk and the cement.
Yes, that is correct.
So when you said earlier something about not having enough money to do certain things, if we're not co-mingling the funds, certainly some of those districts must maintain the correct amount of money for the maintenance. No,
I mean, in general, I would say that landscape and lighting districts generally come up negative. You know, just with cost increases, we hire contractors to maintain everything. So I would say in general, yes, that the LLDs generally come out negative. They don't come out with additional monies within the districts.
Okay, and then the other question, I don't know if it really has something to do with this. A few council meetings ago, we were going to approve annexing something into a district, and that particular property owner voted not to do that. So going forward, is that really a choice that property owners have?
So I believe you're referring to the community facilities district that a property owner voted no to come into. And from my understanding, once you vote no, it's a condition of the project to actually go into the community facilities district. So until that property comes into the community facilities district, then they are not issued any building permits or allowed to take the project forward because they have not satisfied the conditions of their approval.
Thank you.
Rosalinda?
Thank you. I think I kind of emailed about this earlier, so I just wanted to confirm, because looking at the fees, which are in the packet, I'm sorry if you guys didn't get a copy of it, it does outline what fees are going to what district and how much is in there. Even has our lot and parcel numbers on there, so if you want to know what parcel is being charged what, it's actually in the report that they provided us online. But my question, I guess, ultimately is, one, the Brown median, I know some of you do live in my district. We see the Brown median has not been maintained. I've even gone out there myself and pulled the weeds. A lot of the sprinkler heads are broken. So based on these fees that I'm seeing, which I know I pay each year comes in my property taxes, are we looking at fixing that? Is that what the costs are for, to fix that kind of stuff? As well, there's another one in there regarding DARA, which they just have dirt pods. I think, I don't remember what the word was. Whatever he said. Where the trees once were a very, very long time ago, and now they're just piles of dirt. But I see they're also on here, and they did have quite a bit of, look like income or taxation that was going to the apartments. So again, that was kind of my questions, like they're paying for piles of dirt, I guess is kind of what I was looking at when I read it. So that was kind of another concern on what we plan on doing to maybe address that. If we are collecting taxes and they're paying fees on it, are we actually enhancing their property based on their fees and the lighting that they're paying for?
So I want to make sure that everybody understands that we're not, these aren't fees to enhance an area. It is my understanding that there are some trees that are going to be going in on Dara Street soon. I did take a look at the other bulb outs. So along with the trees, you know, there are some bushes. Actually, the Google Earth picture had them actually nicely maintained. But I just want to make sure that everybody does know that this isn't generally for enhancement. Yes, if we need to replace trees, the landscape and lighting district can pay for those replacements. But as far as actually enhancing an area, generally it does not do that.
So ultimately, they're still paying the same fees for something that they do not have. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that correct? Since they do have the bulb out. Correct? And the trees haven't been there for several years.
Yeah, so it is a maintenance, and that's the trees that have not been there for several years, they will be replaced. And so that is something that I've talked to the Public Works Director about. And so those trees will get replaced, and then obviously we'll have to maintain those when they go in. As far as sprinklers, if sprinklers are broken, that's part of maintenance also. The sprinkler heads can be replaced under landscape and lighting districts also.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else has any questions? Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve item 18 on the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Casey,
Yes.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Silvera,
Yes.
Mayor Lopez,
Yes.
motion carries 5-0.
And we will now go for a 5-minute recess. Moving on to discussion items. A council referral item, modification of the city council rules and procedures to establish a community event notification policy, and this goes to our attorney, Nubia.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and council members. This agenda item that's before you tonight is as the result of a council referral that was brought forth by Councilmember Vieira regarding the city's rules and procedures pertaining to notification policy for city-sponsored events. Based off of the direction that we received from council to bring this back for your consideration, we have included some suggestions, potentially, it depends on the council's wish, to address this particular issue. So the handbook that contains the city's rules and procedures at the current time does not contain specific rules or procedures for notifications. There is a practice that occurs, and staff can elaborate a little bit further. But in the event that there is any written materials that essentially comes from the city. So it's a city document such as certificates, which is common for certain community events. Those are currently based off of a request to be prepared, generally by the mayor, again, in some cases, and maybe other council members, but it's something that's processed by staff, and the mayor can pick up or delegate other council members in his or her stead to present said certificate. Events that are not city related or city sponsored are separate and apart, meaning that city staff doesn't have direct involvement in any of those activities or preparing any materials for that. So again, it's really at the behest or request of a private entity, a community organization, community group, or a council member who's identified this as of interest to the city. And coordination for city-sponsored events is generally carried out by the mayor, depending on availability and expressed interest, and if there's a connection between the event and an election, a particular district within the city. So this has all been generally handled internally. The handbook doesn't have a detailed step-by-step process because generally speaking, the process has seemed to work except for recent or even in the past, any discrepancies in that internal process. Hence why I believe Councilmember Vieira has requested clarification to be placed into the handbook. So with that, we have included some ideas for potential changes to the rules to lay out a little bit more succinctly and clearly what a process could look like. In that event, we could include language that sets out exactly what a citywide community event consists of, what are the kind of events that would apply under this rule, and it lays out a process by which there's notification, internal notification to the entire council. There's the possibility that the mayor may need to delegate the responsibility of representing the city at a community event. Again, these rules and procedures don't prevent or prohibit any council member from attending citywide community events. That's something that did come up, I think, recently as a question of whether or not you can even have multiple council members attend because of the Brown Act. So as a reminder, the Brown Act prohibits a quorum of the council in deliberating or discussing or taking action on city-related business. If 3 or more of you happen to be at a groundbreaking or community event, a fundraiser, that doesn't in and of itself create a Brown Act issue. The Brown Act issue is if you start talking and making decisions amongst each other. That's where the issue arises. So just naturally attending these type of events is not in and of itself a Brown Act issue. And so again, these are just recommendations that staff has compiled for the council's consideration. And I can answer any questions the council may have about the current rules and procedures. And I will defer to Councilmember Vieira, who is the one who requested this agenda item be placed on the agenda.
Yes, I will open this up to Councilmember Vieira.
I think my concern is just making sure that it's kind of consistent amongst the council, because there was a couple events that I might have been there, but I wasn't aware that there was a certificate being presented, so I'm literally in the audience watching. In this case, it was Daniel and Javier, Mayor Javier, handing a certificate out at the Earthquakes game, and I'm literally sitting in the crowd, and they're like, well, here, representing the city of Ceres are these two people. And I'm like, what am I? Like, I thought I was part of the council as well. So I think that was kind of my concern. So I just want to make sure that everything is going out equally to everyone and everyone's getting the same opportunity to participate in the same events of representing Ceres that does not violate the Brown Act, and that where everyone is invited, no one is treated one way or another. And then I'm not being excluded because I'm a female and they don't think I like soccer or something. So being that I coach soccer, it's kind of dear to my heart. So I think that was kind of my big issue, and which is why I brought this forward, just so that way there was some consistency and we were being firm, fair, and consistent regardless of any other factors that may be contributing to the decisions that are being made.
Okay, before we come back to the council, I'll go ahead and open this public period now to the public. Is there any comments by the public? Seeing none, any hands raised?
There are no hands raised.
Okay, the public period is now closed. Bring this item back now to the council. I do see Vice Mayor Brett Silvera has pressed his button.
Yeah, I agree somewhat with Rosalinda. I think we just need to have a better process for how we're going to get this information disseminated. I agree. There's been times that I was available and didn't know something was going on. I don't think it's at any fault to anybody, but it has happened, and I would love to see some type of better coordination through somebody so we all have a chance to either go represent the city, go on our own, and also a reasonable and easy way that if I hear of something that I can then pass it on to whoever's in charge. So others may be able to make it too. And I'm not the only one there when others are available. So I agree in somewhat with what you're saying. Just a clear-cut process is, I think, what we needed. Thank you.
Okay, I'll make a quick comment. In regards to anything that I have received in the past, I had always CC'd the city clerk, city manager, and Nubia. And I allowed the city clerk to continue the process of letting the council know. And that has been my current process. I'm open to any additional ideas in regards to the concerns of Councilmember Vieira and Vice Mayor in regards to that, and open to ideas and see what we can do moving forward. So this would be the time for suggestions, unless staff already has suggestions.
So the staff report lists several bullet points of recommendations if the council wishes to include those into the handbook. So what I'd be looking for is direction from the council. It doesn't have to be a motion, but a consensus if you're interested. What we would do is then redline, basically add language into your handbook and bring that back for formal adoption.
Is it a long list or short list? Just so the public knows.
It's about 8 bullet points. It's
Bullet
in the
points?
staff report.
It's in the staff.
And so,
Yeah, and I read it, but I just want to know if it's something we need to tell the public today in regards to those bullet points, or
so if the council generally likes the idea that's laid out here, then we will bring that back.
bring it back again. So then
Into the
at that
handbook.
moment, we can go ahead and, that's fine. That makes sense. I just wanted to make sure and clarify that. So this is consensus, correct? So I'm good with that.
But just to be clear, the basics of it are anything that we know that's going to happen or go on, we're going to go to the city manager, city clerk's office. That information will then be disseminated to us. And then the mayor will coordinate who's going to be there, certificates and all that stuff. Is that a short version of what all that says?
The basic rule, because a lot of it is just clarification. If there is a citywide community event, again, this is citywide of general interest, not just citywide. There will be an email on a weekly basis to the entire council that will come from the city manager's office. Who that is specifically may change, but it will come from the city manager's office on a weekly basis, with pertinent information for the council to know. That information that the council will receive will identify whether a certificate will be issued, whether there's a proclamation associated with it, again, generally speaking, proclamations are, we do that at council meetings, but there may be one-offs. Whether council attendance has been requested by event organizers and whether any council members have already stated their intention to attend. So again, it's the idea of providing as much information that is known at that time to the entire council so that each of you can make your own informed decision about whether you're interested in going or not. And again, generally speaking, this process is then overseen by the mayor to coordinate at that point forward. And in the event the mayor is unable to coordinate or attend, the mayor can delegate that to another council member.
Does it also explain in an instance where maybe something was brought to my attention and I feel that we should have a certificate? Does that talk about that in there? Because there is times where I've walked into the city clerk's office and I said, hey, this might be an opportunity for us to present a certificate. What are your thoughts? And then she usually always disseminates that information.
So another component to this is timing, just in order to make sure that we have enough time to prepare the necessary documentation. One request that we have at a staff level is that if there's a request for a proclamation, that the city council provide, for certificates, submit the request no less than 2 weeks prior to the stated event in order to give staff sufficient time to prepare the necessary documents, and then proclamations 4 weeks before the event. Proclamations are the ones that
Right.
typically are
It take
handled-
longer.
Yeah.
Now, there has been instances where we are told about a grand opening, a soft opening. More than likely, a grand opening will be the only time that we do a certificate. We don't know about it, and next thing you know, it's 3 days before the event. That has happened to us plenty of times. I think in those moments, we need to make sure that there is at least an opportunity for us to make that decision. I don't think I've ever tried to put anything on the city clerk super last minute, which I don't think is right. But I think that there needs to be that small window where those things do happen.
I think that's inherently built into the rules with the acknowledgement that
Yeah.
sometimes event coordinators, think about it at the last minute and then say, oh, by the way,
Yeah,
can
here
you
you go.
prepare a
Exactly.
certificate? So again, the idea is as much lead up time as possible, understanding that there are going to be exceptions.
But the
Situation.
basic rules is 2 weeks.
And would it be approved then last minute for me, somebody calls me with this opening to send out an email to all 5 of us?
It should go to city clerk
It,
first.
it should go.
And the city
yes.
clerk and city manager CC, but obviously just here, it just happened. I just found out about it.
Ideally, that would still come from one source.
Yeah, the city
Right.
clerk.
And again, the reason for that is we're also trying to avoid Brown Act issues. If it comes from one central source, will blast that information out. That's not a council member. It helps keep the lines of communication clearer. Again, I know the Brown Act, again, the way I keep explaining to people is it's asking you to communicate in unnatural ways because typically you see something of interest, you want to send it to your colleagues, send it to your friends, send it to everybody you know. The problem is that communication itself could open up problems inadvertently. So again, it's just a recommendation that it all comes from one source. Understanding, last minute things happen, but
So
we should go.
this is the appropriate time to make other recommendations too, right?
Yes.
So for example, in the instance where I'm not able to make it, and then I tell the city clerk that, sometimes if it's in somebody's district, I make a recommendation since it's in that person's district to take care of the certificate. So in those instances, that person who is now taking care of the certificate should be the one who emails and makes contact with whether it's a grand opening or not. Is that detailed in there?
So, yes. What we've
Right on.
included is the mayor will represent the city at citywide community events and may delegate that responsibility to the vice mayor or other council members at his or her discretion. The mayor will be responsible for coordinating attendance on or providing additional information about the event in a manner consistent with and that does not violate the Brown Act. And then, in the event that the mayor delegates the responsibility of representing the city at a community event, that information will be conveyed to the entire council and the designated council member will be the contact person for any event inquiries from that point on.
And we'll still be able to click whether we're accepting or declining the event notification, right?
Is that how you currently receive? it?
Yeah.
It's just a meeting invite.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay. I have no additional comments. Mr. Casey, I just saw your button press, sir. Go for it. Turn the microphone on, sir. Press that button.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving me the opportunity. It reminds me of when I ran the first time for city council. One of my candidates was given the opportunity to speak at the concert in the park. Holy smokes, I get all kinds of phone calls. Did it bother me? No, it didn't bother me one iota. We've spent a lot of time. Basically, all we're asking, and we should already know this, it shouldn't even have to be written down. Let's respect each other up here, give everybody the same opportunity. We're gonna make some rule, and then somebody will find the opportunity to find a way to bend that rule. I appreciate the situation that Councilperson Vieira was put in. I've been in those same situations, but I blame myself for not being more involved in the council activity. You know, if we want to spend the time and money to rewrite this and bring it back before us, so be it. I'm only one vote, but it's just a simple task of each one of us, particularly the five of us, showing respect for each other. And I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, or you hurt, you're not going to hurt my feelings, because I'm just trying to do the best I can with what little knowledge I have. But so if you want to go to the expense of having it written up again, go ahead. But thank you for letting me speak, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Martinez?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to echo what Mr. Casey said. I wasn't in consensus when this first got recommended as an item. I believe that Fallon does a phenomenal job getting us the information. To agree with Vice Mayor Silvera, there's been events that have happened that I wasn't able to attend or didn't know about. I didn't take it personally. I feel like creating this is going to give us an opportunity for violations where we don't have them now. Creating a rules and procedures doesn't make it infallible. It gives us more opportunity to violate something. So this would be a no for me.
Any additional comments or questions? So is this going to be a consensus or a vote?
Doesn't have to be a formal vote. What I'm hearing now is one no, one,
We'll go left to right to make your life easier.
that's fine. It's
Sorry,
not
Mr.
required,
Mr. Martinez.
it's not required, but if it will
Just to make sure.
make sure someone can make a motion, second, you can take a vote.
No motion, but you can say yes or no.
Nope. Then no.
No? Go ahead, Mr.
And we
Rush.
talked about last time, we decided we're not going to make motions
Right.
on this. We will only make a motion when we go to decide what the actual language is going to say. This is a consensus or not.
Correct.
I'm good with this.
So yes, excuse me, no, yes, no.
Yes.
No.
Okay,
So this item lacks a consensus to move forward.
yes. Thank you. Moving on to the next item. City Council Budget Restructure. Mr. Casey, this one's yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As record show, I voted against the budget that evening for a couple of reasons. The primary reason that our particular portion on the budget, as a council person, I had no participation in establishing those dollar amounts. And I was surprised that it was a public hearing, but yet we were going to vote on it anyway. And, you know, two things I've been real sensitive about is public hearings and notifying the public. So the reason I brought this up is, you know, I did a little bit of asking questions, and I still don't have all the answers. You know, earlier, one of the participants ask you about a particular item. I'm not sure if all of us here could justify, not necessarily justify, but explain to the people that are here tonight, we approved a budget, and that budget, over $13 million was set aside for contract services. That I was corrected. That's 14.8% of the total budget. So all I'm suggesting is that, and maybe that $13 million is justified. All I'm suggesting is that we have a session where each one of us, because we are the responsible people to the city of Ceres, understand what the money's being spent for, and perhaps we'll find out that even though it was budgeted, it was budgeted last year, the year before, it was never spent. Maybe there's some money there so that we don't have to increase the fees to the youth of our city to have a recreation department. Maybe there's plenty of money there so that we can fill those 10 positions in the police. We don't know. I mean, well, I should say this. I didn't understand what the $13.8 million was contract services. And there were some other things I didn't understand. Maybe the four of you understood it clearly, and that's why you were able to vote for the thing. That's all. I think that we need to review the budget and make sure that the money's being spent. And if it's not being spent, maybe we can move it around. And that's brought up earlier by Mr. Warren, going down the path here, where are we going to be? When I first was elected, there were a couple of things that I saw apparent in the finance of the city, and our previous city manager. I said to him, I go, holy smokes, we got to do something, because I don't want to be the city council person in 2026 having to declare bankruptcy for the city of Ceres. That maybe it's not that serious. Maybe it is. I don't know. And again, I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot. I'm just telling you, I voted no because I thought it was mishandled as far as public information, as far as even, and I consider myself somewhat knowledgeable of financing. I have a small company that I've been able to keep afloat for over 50 years. But I didn't have enough time to review all those things and make a sound judgment. So all I'm suggesting is that we set aside some time for the public and for us to review the budget. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. The public comment period is now open. Is there anyone in the chambers that would like to make a comment? Mr. Yeakley.
Uniquely serious. I have to say is I think Mr. Casey hit it on the head. And I think previous council person too, Linda Rhino, if you don't have the money, you can't spend it. You need to budget things. And listen to all these things through the years and all the different meetings for this and that. Sounds pretty much like what's happened in the previous councils too. There's no budget here. They need to get some advice from somebody else. Probably that governor of I think it's Montana or whatever. She has no problems in her state really that she can't handle, and they're on a budget. We're a small city, and why we can't be on budget, I don't know why. I'm just one person, like Casey, Mr. Casey says, I'm just one person. But when you handle your own finances at your house, everything's going. This is a house. This is somebody's home. These people around here work together. They're family. And to put them in a predicament where they have to lay off people and do stuff, That has to do with budget. Somebody doesn't know where the money's going. They're spending it and it's not appropriate. I think it's common sense. That's what we're all about, using our common sense to get things done. And why there's no money and we don't have a lot of reserves for the size of the city that we live in, something's definitely wrong. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. A review mid-year of a budget that's as large as the one that we have here at the city of Sirius is really not an inappropriate thing to do. If something needs to be restructured or reorganized so that the budget balances at the end of the fiscal year, that might be something that can be done midstream. And so it's a good thing for the public to be involved if they want to be. There's a lot of the public out there that really trust you folks to do the right thing. I hear that quite a bit. Well, we vote these people in because we think that they can do that job. And so why do we have to check up on them? Well, a lot of times, some members of the public actually want to hear where the money's going, where it's coming from, and how the budget's going to be balanced, especially when you have a $2 million deficit and we're going into a new budget year. Well, how are we going to balance that? We balanced it this year with federal funds, and last year. Sometimes the money isn't always spent, laying there, and it has been spent, and it needs to be repositioned. So it's a good idea. I think the workshop where the public can come and ask some questions and see how you folks look at each particular item that's there and how it's going to be funded.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else? Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, the public period is now closed. I bring this back to the council for comments, questions, or discussion or direction. Any comments or questions? Excuse me. Rosalinda, go ahead.
I like the idea of sharing the budget structure and getting a better understanding of which item is and what is applied to everything. What does it mean? What is professional development? Is it classes? Is it shirts? Is it, phone chargers? I think it's important to understand. I know I asked a lot of questions before the vote. I know you're used to getting emails from me line by line, page 1, page 3, page. So I think I had pretty good direction when it came to the actual vote. I didn't do it without a lot of thought and spreadsheets. I prefer Excel, so I can do my formulas and everything. But I do like the idea of having a community workshop or understanding clarification meeting before the budget next year, just that way everyone has an opportunity to ask the questions that they want to ask before we move it forward. If there's things that they don't think we need, then maybe we need to stop providing that service to the community if that's something they feel we don't need any longer. And ask the questions that they feel they need to be answered. Because a lot of times I don't know what all 23,000 voters are thinking right now, or 48,000 residents that we have right now. So their input is valuable. And I think that, as long as they have a clear understanding, it helps me have a better idea of how to vote when it comes to the budget. So in the future, I would like I don't know how Casey feels right now, but I know I was confident with my vote. But I also would like to also see us have a balanced budget. I'll let it go this year just because we are in a recession or slowing of the economy, as they're calling it. But I would like to make sure we do have that opportunity in the evening for residents to come out and ask the questions that they feel the need to ask.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments or questions? So this is also a consensus, so I'll go from left to right. No?
And
Question? Or a comment?
a point of clarification. So is the council clear on what is being asked? So I think we need some clarity on what is being asked to be brought back for action. Is that the idea of the referral process is for the council to identify things that you can take action on in a next future agenda?
Okay, so as a clarification, do we need clarification from Mr. Casey or
It's
You-
council members Casey item. And so I just want to know if you all understand what is being asked.
Mr.
And
Casey,
more importantly, that way staff knows what we're actually bringing back.
I'm understanding it as a restructure of how we present the budget to the public. Is that correct?
Mr. Mayor, I've been told by a lot of people that I don't make myself very clear the first time and sometimes the second. Actually, what I was suggesting is that the council establish a review period of the budget. So, for instance, we approve the budget for the 1st of July. Let's take a look at it in the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter. Let's take a look at it again at the beginning of January. Just take a look at it, see where we are, whether, and invite the public and truly invite the public, don't post it 72 hours before on a bulletin board on Magnolia Street. Let the people know that we want to let them know how we're spending the money and how it's been spent. That's really what but I didn't spell it out that well. So that's really what I would like, whether I need to make a motion or referral, that's what I would like the council to consider tonight.
So what I'm hearing is Councilmember Casey would like the council to institute a policy of a budget review process, which would include a review period of X number of days with a mid-year review process as well, maybe budget workshops. So conceptually, that's what I'm hearing Councilmember Casey is requesting. Now, with that being clarified, then we need consensus from this council on whether you want us to bring this back for discussion. Again, it's not for an actual, tonight, you're not voting on that type of action.
Okay, just,
And what we're bringing back is also not the final action. It's
just a
options.
review period.
So to compare it to what we just did, Councilmember Vieira had a referral item. We brought back points of discussion to then get your feedback if you're interested in it. Council said no. So in using this as an example, what we would do is then bring the same type of staff report, identify what this budget review process could look like, and then you will give us the same direction if you actually want us to draft that up. So for tonight, all we need is a consensus on whether you're interested in staff dedicating time to look into this request.
Okay, so the request is to review the budget process. Examples would be Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. No examples, but just a review period for the budget.
Right now is do you want us to look into this any further? What Councilmember Casey is requesting? And we'll bring back possible options, but that's all we need tonight.
Okay, I'll ask for consensus again.
Though I agree with Councilmember Vieira on maybe creating something after the budget's been passed, to maybe a YouTube video, something we can put online and share on social media that identifies where the money's going, how it's being allocated. I don't think adding an extra step right now for staff is necessary, so that would be a no for me.
It's a no for me.
Yes, for me.
You just say yes.
I
Casey?
want to move forward, yeah.
Okay, there you go. You're good. So you got your consensus. Good job, Mr. Casey. Okay. We're now moving on to reports. I have no reports. Anybody else? Rosalinda, your mic's impressed.
Good evening. Feels like it's been a while. Going back this week, I have Stanislaus Homeless Alliance meeting coming up this week. We're looking at some changes in the law and state executive orders regarding addressing homeless. It'll be interesting to see how the change affects both the city and the county. Series does work currently with local agencies. Our police department is still working with the Stanislaus Care Team, as well as Turning Point Homeless Alliance Team. The HAT team is usually what they're referred to. They are on Needham. They actually provide housing and help with resources and next steps for those that want them. Please know that they don't always say yes, but occasionally they do. So there are resources that are coming out and addressing them now. If you have someone that looks like they may need resources, please contact the police department non-emergency line or put it on the app for those of you who figured out the app, or call code enforcement so that way they can get on the care team list. So when they come out on Wednesdays, they can go ahead and be addressed and hopefully get them where they need to be. The HAT team or housing assessment team through Turning Points, they're both resources through the county, so that does not cost the city anything. So please feel free to utilize those services. The Stanislaus County Turning Points is available every single day. They usually have a line outside their building on Needham. But I do just want to make sure that those resources are available every single day. If you know someone who is, or you encounter someone who's ready to make that next step from where they're at. When it comes to housing, we're still working on trying to get some housing going. We have to get some infrastructure set in place before we can move forward to West Landing. But as I'm out, I am hearing more and more about foreclosures and slowing in the economy. So we're definitely seeing changes of the slowing economy. We're seeing empty shelves at Rite Aid. I know I was contacted twice this last week, and I did go out there and talk to them because that is a concern, as well as some foreclosures. So I'm working with some investors that I came in contact with Tuscany Village to try to hopefully address some of those homes so they're not vacant too long in the community. And I'm hoping to, as you guys may have seen, I did work with the court-appointed liaison that's working with Tuscany Village to actually get that kind of cleaned up a little bit. If you do have issues, please let us know. You'll see the gate is now secured to the CMAP block, so it's a little harder to get in. Schools are reopening this week, so please expect delays, increased traffic, and young children walking to and from school. Remember what that one's about. So I think those are going to be my updates. I did just want to mention, if you do see loose dogs, just because it happened, for those of you who don't know, I did have a dog that came onto my property and attacked one of my animals today and literally ripped them to shreds. So if you do see them, please contact Animal Shelter. They have contacted me and said, if you see an emergency such as aggressive dogs like I had on my property today, which is directly across the street from a school, please call, hit the emergency button when you call the county. The phone number I did post online, and they will send someone out as long as they know where they're at. Okay, so they have assured me that they will address it in the event that it does happen again. So those are my updates. I look forward to seeing everyone in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Jim Casey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank Sam and Public Department for cleaning up Lion Park. By far the best it's looked in a long time. Well, since I've been aware that it was a park. I would also like to recognize the city for, I guess, stepping over the bounds. And we talked about budget items earlier. We had the issue of the property across from Ceres High School. I had a brief conversation with the chief after our last council meeting. I was in a rush to go to a funeral the next morning in Susanville, but he gave me instructions to how to file the incident report on an app, and I did that. And it's coincidental, I was still working on who's going to pay for the cleanup, but the same day that the city was out there cleaning up, earlier that morning, I got an answer on the app that said the city's not responsible, that the fire department will handle it. So there's a little bit of confusion, but I got a lot of credit for it. The other thing I'm kind of would like to, in the form of report, we're losing the Big Lot store and what what used to be a Rayleigh's grocery store. And I was told that it was a national thing. I would hope that we put as much effort in trying to save that store as we have the last few months, and multiplying the number of mobile vending units. I would hope that happened. I would hope that we approach the big lots and said, hey, what can we do to keep you? I was told it was a national thing, but I know that Big Lot store in Sonora is still there. The Big Lot store down on further down called Old Oakdale Road is still there. Overall, I'm very proud of our police department and our fire department and our public works department. But we could all do better. We can do better as council people. You can do better as public service. But thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Brett Silvera, you're up, sir.
Yeah, a couple things. Last week, I believe Thursday, Rosalind and I attended the multi-chamber mixer at Howard's Training Center. It was great. There was like 150 people from all different cities. It was a fantastic event, great networking opportunity. Had some cool prizes, but more than anything, it just showed that all the different cities are talking about the same stuff. And it was nice to see that we're not the only one that having the same issues. All the conversations were exactly what we're talking about. And then Friday night, I attended the chamber first movie night, and there was a couple hundred people there. Had 4 or 5 vendors. It was really cool. It was the night of the big pallet fire, so the place was covered in gray black smoke, but everybody managed to stay there and watch the movie Cars. It was a really cool event. I hope they continue to do it. Just one more thing that the chamber does for our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say that on July 30th, last month, on the last Tuesday of the month, was the final Concerts in the Park. I wanted to thank you for putting myself and Councilmember Vieira on that committee. I had a wonderful time finding bands, working with Joey and his staff, getting people out there to participate. Then I did also want to mention that Councilmember Vieira and I, once more, last Thursday, I believe it was 8/1, we had our second Christmas Tree Lane meeting with the residents in Christmas Tree Lane. We had them come out to that Rocky Fisher Pavilion at Myrna Park. They came out, they voted on a few things that worked for them, what they'd like to see, the improvements. I believe we have one more meeting coming in the pipeline for us. And then I also wanted to just acknowledge police and fire. Last Tuesday was National Night Out. Wonderful event. So thank you guys for that. Thank you for giving back to the community. It was a great time. And then I also wanted to thank the residents of Saturn Court for having quite a few of us council members out there in their court doing their own event and growing. Having police and fire both come out for them to be at their event was awesome. I had a great time. So I just wanted to say thank you to police and thank you to the residents of Saturn Court. I'm sorry, thank you to police and fire.
Thank you very much. City Manager,
I have nothing.
City Attorney,
Report tonight.
the department is. Chief?
Yeah, good evening, Council and Mayor. I just have a couple reports here. One of the things was this past Friday, a few of you attended, but we graduated our academy recruits finally after 5 months of grueling work at the police academy. We had 3 recruits graduate. Very nice ceremony in Modesto at the house. And they all started their first day on the job today. So you may see a couple new shining faces around. It's Officer Carter, Officer Perry, and Officer Diaz. Please welcome them to the Ceres family when you see them. We're excited to have them. It's been 5 years since we've sent people to the police academy. So it's exciting times for us. I also wanted to add that today we held a Special Olympics fundraiser golf tournament out at the Turlock Country Club. And this is one of the first years that the event was sold out. I think a few of you were in attendance today. I spoke this morning at the event, a very nice event. And from my understanding, we are on track as a city to be the highest revenue generating agency once again in the state of California. We're contributing to Special Olympics. So that's good for us. I also wanted to give a reminder as well that this Wednesday is back to school. for all of our students in the city of Ceres. And we will be stepping up our traffic enforcement efforts around all of the school zones. And with the construction that is taking place currently on Hatch Road and on Whitmore Avenue, it is already creating quite the traffic jams without school traffic. So I anticipate it to be quite worse during school. So again, a reminder to our parents to provide ample time to get their students to and from school as school starts this Wednesday. And we will have increased traffic enforcement around our school zones. Also, National Night Out was a great event, and I know a lot of you guys were in attendance as well, and gals, and we did make a presence out on Saturn Court too, which was quite impressive, no doubt about it. So, I was proud and honored to be out there, and if you guys saw, I got soaking wet in the dunk tank in full uniform. So, anyway, that's all I have to report tonight. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, economic development, we will be having a Ceres Downtown Revitalization Roundtable on Thursday, August 22nd at 5:30 in the evening here at the Community Center.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. So obviously, we did not plan for both Whitmore and Hatch to be having construction at the same time. On Whitmore, it was a water main break. Unfortunately, it was a much deeper line, just simply where it was. So we had contractors out there, got it fixed. So right now, Whitmore is completely back open. It's striped, all that good stuff. So hopefully that'll ease some congestion around that area. Hatch Road continues. They have installed the main portion of the transmission main. Now they're tying in their laterals. So you'll continue to see work out there till the October timeframe. But it is progressing actually ahead of schedule right now. So we have one last thing to do on Whitmore. We need to install the traffic loops, and that we're waiting for a date on when that will get done. And then we are anticipating bringing that for ratification, the costs and everything to council on September 9th. It could go to the second meeting in September, just depending on how quickly we get invoices in from all the contractors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay. Moving on. We'll now adjourn this meeting and go to closed session for a conference regarding liability claims. The claimant is Maria R. Torres. The agency claimed against is the City of Ceres. In addition to the conference with labor negotiators, California Government Code 54957.6, agency designated representatives are City Manager Douglas D. Dunford and Human Resource Director Lila Vasquez. Employee organization is Unrepresented Chief of Police, Director of Engineering Services, City Engineer, Director of Community Development, Director of Finance, Director of Human Resources, Director of Public Works, City Manager. Is there anyone in the public that would like to speak regarding this closed session item? Thank you. We'll report out, and this meeting is now adjourned. Welcome back, everyone. Staff has been, there has been direction been given by staff. Thank you.